What's up YouTube, it's Neon Velocity and I'm back with another how to play Gears 5 video. We're going to be focusing on the Demolitions class today, and this is a very fun class to play. High damage output with some survivability because you're going to be melting and shredding enemies like crazy. This is now the third video in this series. If you haven't already, check out my prior videos where I talk about how to play the Infiltrator and the Blade Master. Those videos had some good success on the channel, and what I'm trying to do is just make sure that everybody can learn how to properly play these classes. Whether you agree with the build or not, that's fine. However, if you don't, let me know what you like to use, and that way we can have a discussion, because I feel like there's not a lot of discussions taking place about how to properly play classes. So if there's something that you enjoy, or another variant of this, or a completely different build, let me know what you like to do. For this build that I'm running, there are a few variations that you can make, and I'll go over that a little bit. However, I will say that the bread and butter of the Demolitions class is the Razor Hell class. It's very similar to the Tactician class, but in this example, we're going to be talking about how to take advantage of the Razor Hell class, which is very important to get. So keep in mind that I am a max level 20. I have everything unlocked. Most cards are high level. You don't get the Razor Hell card until level 12. So if you're just starting off, if you're not level 12, this will not work for you. However, it's not very difficult right now to get to level 12, so make sure that you're playing the game, just enjoying yourself, playing on some lower difficulties, or have some friends carry you if you can, and that way you can get your level 12 and then start leveling up this card. So with that stated, let's kind of go into this a little bit more. So let's focus on the bleed. Razor Hell gives you 30% damage and bleeding over time, which is a DOT, 30% over a certain amount of time. I'm not actually sure how long the bleed goes for, so if anybody in the comments wants to let me know, please let me know. But yeah, you do 30% damage at level 6, which is really good. High damage output, and you're going to be applying damage or bleeding damage through your custom boom shot or your grenade launcher or frag grenades. So anything that's an explosive, like a salvo, anything that explodes will do that. And that actually includes your artillery strike, which is the ultimate ability for the Demolition, which drops 5 artillery rounds onto each enemy you have marked. So if you're marking enemies as the Demolitions class and you're marking multiple enemies, the artillery strike will hit every single enemy and cause bleeding, and it's going to kill enemies, it's going to stun enemies, it could do anything that you do. In this particular build, I'm going to stun them and then get a recharge on my artillery, because I want to spam artillery as much as I possibly can as a boss destroyer. How do we go about that? So how do we build up our ultimate? How do we want to use it? Things of that sort. So my personal preference is to be a boss killer, or to use it in oh crap moments where things are a little hairy, like when you have bastions or scions or boom shots. Like, I want to use that on them. Bleed card mandatory. That's pretty self-explanatory now that we've reviewed it. But in terms of the explosive damage, I like to run the custom boom shot because I like the splash damage. However, I know a lot of folks like to use the custom Lancer GL card, because then you can spam grenade launchers, which is similar to what the old meta for the Demolitions class used to be. You can definitely do that. It's a good time. It's a lot of damage. It's something I personally don't do, but you could definitely do it. I will say though, in order to use the custom boom shot and spam the custom boom shot or the custom Lancer GL card, you actually need to have someone that's like a mechanic or robotic expert with an overclock locker. That way you can replenish those weapons very quickly. So you need to make sure that your mechanic or robotics experts actually using the overclock card to speed up the refill on those weapons. I usually go with a locker or two if I'm the only DPS person in the lobby, so I can just continuously spam, depending on the map and what the setup is, of course. But that's how you kind of go about that. Now, with artillery is a very unique thing, and I feel like a lot of people that play Demolitions do not understand this, and so I'm going to really try my best to highlight it. The artillery, again, is anytime you mark an enemy, anytime that you mark an enemy, it's going to drop 5 artillery rounds on them, right? So one enemy, 5 rounds, another enemy, 5 rounds. So as long as you're marking multiple enemies, you can have tons of artillery falling from the sky. But then there's actually skill cards as it relates to artillery, and that's what I really want to focus on here for a moment. Is I like to run 2 or 3, actually 4 cards sometimes, depending on what we're doing here. But the concussive strike card that I like to use is artillery stuns enemies for 9 seconds. And why do I feel like this is important? Because it keeps targets stunned, they're not moving, they're not going anywhere. This is really good for bosses like a Brumok or Matriarch or Snatcher. That way they're not running into your base, or potentially a carrier. So that way they're not running into your base and trying to destroy everything that you've worked so hard to build up. So anytime you use that ultimate ability, you know that you're going to stun them. And at level 4, it's a 9 seconds. At level 5, it's 10. And I believe it's maybe 11 seconds at level 6. So that's a lot of stun time where you're just able to get your boom shot or grenade launcher and just start spamming that while, popping your ultimate ability fairly often. Then I like to use the confirm kill card because I am hoping that I'm marking multiple enemies. But depending on what you do here, there's actually a cool card that I have not chosen, but I will show, is the spotter support card. Artillery drops 5 rounds on ally marked targets. So if you have your teammates marking enemies as well as you marking enemies, because it takes a little bit of time for you to mark an enemy and then for them to mark an enemy, if everybody's marking enemies, you can get a lot of people marked up fairly quickly. And I may be wrong with this, so please, if someone wants to correct me, is that there is a high chance, and I can't not remember, that there is a chance that if you mark an enemy and your ally marks an enemy, that you'll get additional rounds dropped on the boss, for example, like a boss. So that way you can get up to maybe 10 artilleries. So just keep that in mind, and that's a really big boss mechanic shredder ability. Now, that's if you like and trust your teammates to mark enemies. I know not everybody is really good at marking enemies. I don't know why. It's a pretty basic function. It's been around since Gears 3. But spotter support is a great card if your teammates are willing to help you. If not, I like to run confirm kill because anytime I kill an enemy, I get to recharge my artillery and get to use it even more. And I'll explain why that's important here in just a second after we go over the officer's prerogative card, which artillery fires 6 additional rounds. So why do we want to run confirm kill? Well, the reason for it is because if you're using your artillery, and when you use artillery, it's an explosive. So what happens? You're doing high damage output, number 1, which helps speed up your ultimate ability. And number 2, you have bleed, which means now you have a damage over time effect happening, right? So you're having double the mechanic in a way of getting your ultimate ability to max recharge because you're doing a lot of damage and you're doing bleeding damage. Then the third part is if you kill an enemy, you're already going to have 21 seconds at level 4, 23 seconds at level 5. So you're going to have a lot of cooldown reduction built into this, which means you can spam artillery, which is really great for those boss waves. So that's kind of why I like to run this particular setup. There is no wrong or right way to run this. I mean, I could interchange officer's prerogative for spotter support or concussive strike. I could do that, or I could go just a straight artillery build and remove the custom boom shot. But I enjoy the high damage because I want to kill enemies as fast as I possibly can. If there was a recommendation or something that I would say you could change out, is that I would change out the custom Lancer GL for the custom boom shot. You could interchange those because it depends on your preference. And I haven't actually used the new bullet boost card because I'm not really focused on using ballistic weapons such as the Lancer GL or Lancer or something like that. However, I will say that this has a potential one day, depending on if the meta changes, to where anytime you kill an enemy with an explosive or with your damage over time through your Razor Hell, you can get 25 extra ballistic damage for 15 seconds up to 200. So each time you kill an enemy, you're getting 25%. So you can really start doing some high damage just by using your gun, but I'm not a big fan of that. Personally. Now, the other card that would be really interesting to do, and this kind of is two cards that you could use, it would be a throwback to Gears 4. If you were familiar with the soldier class, it was a lot of planting grenades, running away, and doing spawn trapping. And you can kind of do that now with the soldier class, with the demolition class, with using Razor Hell and Gambit and Grenade Satchel, because what this is going to allow you to do is carry additional grenades and plant a lot of grenades, and then also get a lot of bleeding over time. But I personally don't recommend that. There's better ways to use it. However, this would be really nice for the Slugger class, but for the Demolitionist class, I know that some folks may try that. It will work, but I don't think it's a viable build. But if you're looking for a change of pace, you could definitely do something like that while keeping a lot of your artillery cards on. So this is just a high level description and understanding of how to play the Demolitions class. If you have any recommendations or anything that you like to do, please let me know in the comments below. If you're new, make sure that you hit that like, subscribe, and bell notification, and I will see you in the next video.